Hi, I'm Colleen Rogers from Palm Harbor Homes, here with another training session using Lasso, our customer relationship management database, to follow up on your customers. Today we're going to talk about those tasks that are assigned to you on the registrants that you've entered into Lasso. If they're a walk-in or if they're a phone up, and if they have a warm, hot, or cold rating, you get tasks that are automatically assigned to you up in the left-hand corner every single day for those registrants that you've entered. And today we're going to talk about, where do they come from? Why are they there? Do I have to do that task? It doesn't work for my customer. We're going to go through all of those things today and talk about your options. Specifically, the main thing I want you to know about those tasks that are assigned to you is that when we started using Lasso, we got together with the regional vice presidents, and what we wanted to do with every single registrant who met a warm, hot, or cold qualification, we wanted to give you a set of tasks that would keep that registrant's name in front of you for about 14 days. Because within that 14-day period, we want you to do a couple of things. Obviously, we'd love for you to sell them during that time period, and if you sell them, then they become a customer and all of their follow-up activities stop. The other thing that should happen, or could happen, is that you decide that they're either a DNQ or a lost opportunity. As soon as a registrant becomes a DNQ or a lost opportunity, all of their follow-up activities cease. There are no more follow-up activities assigned to you. But for those people who fall in there who are hot, warm, or cold, we have assigned some activities for you that we want to keep that customer's name in front of you during that whole 14 days and help you decide where that person needs to rank by the end of the 14 days and either get them sold, get them out of the system, or have them positioned for follow-up by you during the remainder of the follow-up time until they buy a home from us. So what we're going to talk about today is how that some of those obviously aren't going to work for your customers. What are your options if you get assigned a task for a customer and that email doesn't work for my customer? I have talked to them. I don't need to send them this email. What am I supposed to do within Lasso so that my boss doesn't think I'm just deleting things or changing things or not doing the tasks that are assigned to me? How can I demonstrate that I'm moving forward with this customer without doing this specific task that doesn't seem to make sense to me? So today I'm going to show you a lot of different options that you have that are going to make your life easier and better and help you keep up with those registrants that you've had, and in those crucial first 2 weeks, determine where they are to position them for your follow-up in the following period until they buy a home from you. So let's take a look at the computer and get started. When you log into Lasso every morning, the first thing you should take a look at is your activities over here in the top left-hand corner. These are activities that you've assigned to yourself to help you to follow up with your registrants. They also include things that have been assigned to you by the system for new registrants. Again, as I just told you, what we've done is assigned tasks for the first 14 days for your hots and warms to help you follow up with them and either get them sold or to move them through the process down to a cold or on out to a lost opportunity or a DNQ. When someone becomes a cold prospect, we have a separate follow-up system for them. As soon as you turn them to cold, they'll only get assigned tasks once a month. Once a month, you'll be assigned for 6 months to send out a marketing email to them. And then at the end of 6 months, it's up to you to follow up with them in your routine quarterly follow-up of all of your cold prospects. You should be sending out something to all of your cold prospects at least once a quarter, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But for your hots and warms, your walk-ins, and your phone-up traffic, we have assigned tasks. And you should be keeping an eye on these every single morning. The first thing you do is take a look at them and see what you have. You never want that number to get over 20, because if you have over 20 activities assigned, it's going to get just a little bit difficult to keep up with. So you definitely want to try to get those done at the beginning of the day. When you take a look at these, what you're going to want to do is determine which ones I can take care of right away. The first one is an email. And if I look at this one right here, if I click on email, it's Victor Smith. It says, thanks for coming in. Victor Smith just came in yesterday, and so I have an email scheduled to go out to him right away. So that's one that I can send out as a no-brainer. I would simply click his name there, and I would say actions, and I would say send now, and I would be done. Then I can come back here, and on my phone call, I need to give him the GM phone call. Now, if I need the GM to follow up on that one, I can come over here to sales reps, and I could, if I had a list over here, I could also click in my GM, and he can make that phone call. So I won't actually handle that one. I'm going to let my general manager handle that one since this guy is warm. Now, if he was cold, I would go in, I would simply click right here. If this was a cold lead, I would click on his name and go into his profile and click on his activities. And I would go to this GM phone call. If this was a cold lead, I would click here and I would say edit activity. And I would say under comments, not needed. If my GM had told me to do this, not needed, cold lead. And then I would say delete the activity. Because our GMs typically don't make follow-up calls on cold or DNQs or lost ops. Now, you need to talk with your GM to make sure that that's the case at your store. But typically, you can just enter that note in there and then click delete. Because entering that in there will then show up over in your audits, and that information will be over there. If he notices that you've deleted, it's going to show up in just a minute when it refreshes. He can see the reason that you deleted that. Now let's go back and take a look at some of these other tasks, because I've just shown you that not every task is going to work for every person. I'm going to borrow some of Marianne's tasks here. I'm going to open them up and email here. And one thing I want you to see is that, let's say these were phone calls or something. I could open all of these at once by clicking here and say open registrants. This is really handy for phone calls. You open them. If I click open right there, what it's going to do in a new window, now all 7 of these are opened up right here, and I can handle them one at a time. For example, this one, Tom Winchester, hot prospect follow-up email. Let's just say that I know that Tom Winchester doesn't need that. Tom Winchester's coming in today. I don't need to send him an email. I've got an appointment scheduled with him. So what I would probably do here is click on this, and I'm going to say compose an email, because what I've decided to do today in looking at Tom's name is I'm going to send him a brief email here, and I'm going to remind him that we have an appointment today. So nothing came up, so I'm going to, even if another email template did come up here, this template right here, this last icon in the list, is your templates icon. And if you click on that, it's going to bring up a list of all the templates that we have available. And I know that inside of here, I have created one that, to find it here, because I get everybody's templates. I have one here that should say CR generic template. Let's see if I can find that. Here's why you keep them all by your initials. Let's see that everybody's here. And if I can, there's mine. CR generic template. When I pull that up, this one actually has a photo in it. Let's say I deleted that. It's from training. I would delete that. And I would say, hello, Tim. Looking forward to seeing you at your appointment today at 4 o'clock. Let me know if you have any questions. So I could put that in there, or I could say, hey, where's your W-2s? Whatever I wanted to do, I could send that out to him and get that email ready to go. And then when it was all good and ready, I would just click the send icon, which is over here. I would just click send, and I would send this in place of the assigned task that had been set for me. So you don't have to send that email. It's just keeping him in front of you, and I could click send there. The other thing that I could do, I could opt to go back here, and I could simply call him. and I could edit this activity, and I could change it and make it a phone call and say, and in that activity I would just say verified his appointment today, or phone called and thanked him for coming in, or sent him a text. So what I want you to see here is that you don't have to do the one that's assigned to you. You can do something else. You can also, let's say he came in and you already sent him something else, you could edit this activity by scheduling it on a different date. Let's say you know he's on vacation this week, so I'm simply going to move this one till next week. And you could then move it out a week and send it a week from now. So you can do a variety of different things here. You can either change the activity, you can reschedule the activity, you can do a different activity completely, or if you feel like it's really necessary, you can delete that activity. But if you do delete that activity, please put in the notes why you deleted it. And then think about what else should I put in, what other activity should I put in here to show my general manager and to show the customer that I am following up with them. The other one that I want to talk to you about is, let's go through, now that we're done with Tim, we can go on to this next one. And you can see here when I've got them all open, I can simply toggle through and look at each of these and see each customer. And so I could enter, if these are my phone calls, I could make my phone calls and complete my activity, or enter my history and schedule a new activity if I needed to. They're all in here for me to follow up with. So I love this little ability to toggle through. You can do that from any list or from your home screen. And then at the end of the day, I can see where I left off and which ones I need to finish up with. So let's go back to your home screen and let's take a look at this one that I have. I have an email here, and I want to go and I want to look at Victor Smith. I'm going to pull him up because there's one specific task that I want to talk to you all about, and that's the reevaluate task. You'll notice that at about 3/4 of the way through, I think it's almost at the end of the 14-day period, we ask you here to reevaluate. Talk to your GM about a possible status change. What we don't want for you to do is for you to have a visit with someone, have them come in, and then for you to set their rating, and then you forget and just leave them hot or warm for the next 6 months and not change that. So at the end of that 14-day period, we're going to ask you to consciously take a look at that customer and say, hey, look at that rating. Should they still be warm? Should they still be hot? If they should, just click on it right here and say reevaluate and say good as warm. Or it's just some verbiage that lets us know you've taken a look at it, and then you would just click create history, and that lets us know that you've reevaluated that person. One thing I do want to caution you about right here is under your registrants, keep an eye on your hot registrants. No one should ever have more than 25, and your regional or your GM may tell you even fewer. There's just not a way that anybody who works at Palm Harbor can probably have more than 20 to 25 hots. If you're concerned you have more than that, more customers or more registrants rated as hot, get with your general manager and ask him to work through that list with you and help you determine who should be in that list and who shouldn't. We want you to keep that list down as narrow as possible, and that's where we want you to spend 90% of your time, is following up on those hot leads and then getting new leads to come in. And then your warms, again, if you have even 200, 300 warms, that's fine. You're going to send an email to them once or twice a month, and they're either going to tell you they're in the market because you sent them something that got them to respond to you, or they're going to reply and say they're out of the market, and you're going to list them as a lost opportunity. That's fine. That's what we want to know. So you're going to send the warms something at least once or twice a month, and then your colds, again, you're going to send maybe once a month, maybe once a quarter, depending upon how much what you're sending out that month or that quarter. Always at least a quarterly email to maybe celebrate a holiday, show them a new repo or a new home that you just got in inventory, and always to remind them about your $500 referral offer. So those are the basics of how you can handle your assigned tasks, your assigned activities inside of Lasso. Again, I just remind you to keep this list over here under 20. If it gets over 20, it's almost overwhelming. Maybe if it gets over 20, let's talk with your general manager and see what we can do to help get you caught back up. Also, don't just depend on the activities that Palm Harbor scheduled for your new registrants for the first 14 days. Use the activity button, as we discussed over in other videos, to schedule things for yourself. What activity should you be scheduling? Maybe you need to contact 21st Mortgage or Country Place Mortgage to find out something about what's going on with that customer. Schedule that right here inside of Lasso so that this becomes your running daytime list, to-do list of your current customers, your current prospects. If you have any questions about your activities or how to follow up with them, or maybe one isn't working quite right, you can always send that question to lasso@palmharbor.com. Lasso@palmharbor.com. That email will come to me or to Mary Ann or to some other person who's been assigned to follow up, and we'll get back with you just as quickly as possible.